Ken Rakowski, welcome to Voice of Disruption. We're here to disrupt you by bringing people that are disruptive themselves. Sasha Strauss is joining me from Innovation Protocol, which is a brand, I don't know, strategist. What do you call your company? What's your brand for your company?
Strategic Brand Consulting and Design.
I'm sorry, I just yawned.
Well, we're
Give me
also
something more you.
we're the protocol for brands that innovate. It matters not what category, nonprofit, for-profit, medical devices, gaming, etc. Rapid innovation is distracting. It's audacious. You need protocol. You've got to bring regiment and business planning to those ideas, and that's what
so
Innovation
much
Protocol
better than what you said earlier.
Well, I needed to start easy, you know.
It's not about the brand. At times, it's actually about the people behind the brand.
Well, the brand is nothing without the people.
And we talked in the past about you walking into something that was not sexy at all. It was a waste management type environment.
Yeah.
And you walked in there and you got the people that worked there who felt like it was such a flat, boring brand to realize how important they were to the world.
Yeah, and it was amazing. They had employees for 25 years who had never told their families where they worked because they were too scared to reveal that they were like in the business of human waste, you know? And it was amazing because we actually were hired by the private equity firm to say, we bought this asset, we need to maximize it, no one wants to work there, and nobody who buys their services even cares. What could we do with this? Mm-hmm. And through our research and analysis, just independently, we figured out that technically, if this company accomplishes its goals, humans will be able to balance their impact on the planet in a way where the planet could endure it.
Okay.
And so we created this concept of people-planet synchronization, and it completely reinvigorated the business, and the business got acquired for a $250,000 premium.
Because the people were actually excited to be there because they saw that they were needed.
Oh, it gave them purpose to the degree where they went home and finally explained to their family their intention. And not only that, but it infected their recruiting practices. It impacted the way that cities were brokering their services and celebrating the service rather than just kind of line-iting it. It was amazing.
So is that the responsibility of the founders, of the CEO, to get their teams to get incentivized and excited? Whose responsibility is it to get the company to feel good about themselves?
See, I don't think that Chief Executive Officer is the right title. I think it's Chief Believer, the person who believes most in what the organization is trying to accomplish, what it means to the audience, et cetera.
Okay.
You know, a CEO, are they the best financier? I don't think so. Are they best at HR? That's not the intention. The intention is for all of those working behind that individual to see them as a leading light. And that's why I always consult my CEO clients to be chief believers first, executives second.
I like that. I posted something recently on social media, and that was, who would you like to have, living now, lunch with? Okay? What famous person would you like to have lunch with? Now, I picked three: Mikhail Gorbachev, Jim Carrey, and Taylor Swift. Now, the reason why I picked Taylor Swift is I think she's disruptive to the music industry.
Absolutely.
Right? But there's not enough Taylor Swift in the music industry to make it so it's so disruptive. How do we disrupt the music industry?
Well, since you asked the question, who would I want to have lunch with, and I'll use an example that I think is a great catalyzer in the music industry. An Angelino named Jared Leto, actor, musician, etc. Now, there are plenty of rock bands in the world, and he did build a rock band, but he knew from the beginning that not only the branding of that rock band, but creating supplemental consumer experiences that are not necessarily about the music would be able to keep reoccurring customers in the funnel. And so he's done everything from having the name of his band is 30 Seconds to Mars. 30 Seconds to Mars summer camps, where you're just hanging out with other 30 Seconds to Mars fans in a summer camp environment, and people are paying hundreds of dollars to participate in this activity. There's no venue fees, there's no ticket pricing. It's really going direct to the band. And what he's been able to do is fill in the gaps between albums. That's what's so brilliant. Musicians used to think it was about albums, and now they realize it's about a continuum of engagement and lifestyle.
So he created a rock brand, not a rock band.
Beautiful, exactly. And from the beginning, you could look at the first imprint of his music, and you could just tell that he knew that the music was only 49% of the equation. The rest of it was, what does it mean to be a 30 Seconds to Mars fan?
Experiential.
Absolutely.
So you can see that by looking at this from a 30,000-foot level, right? But when you're so close to it, it gets so difficult.
That's the issue. That's why there's often folks like you and I where we come and disrupt to help those individuals get out of their own headspace. That's why it's interesting, as businesses have consolidated, consulting firms are growing so quickly. I was just in Malaysia, and there are huge towers that are branded by these consulting firms because you kind of need that third-party catalyst to help you get out of the way that you used to work.
So can you make everything feel sexy?
Well, how's this? I believe that there's a reason to care about almost anything. And we've had clients that are extremely boring technical things all the way up to religions, and each of them has the exact same challenge. How do you give your employees, your investors, your donors, your constituents something to believe in beyond product function?
All right. I'm going to unfortunately turn this into, and people are going to get upset, religion needs to market better.
Yes.
And they hate hearing that. It is a marketing, a lack of marketing.
Absolutely.
And a lack of believability. So
Yeah.
if you go into a religion, you can pick anyone you want. How do you turn that into, I'm sorry, but sexy? How do you make it so people want to be part of it? Because a religion needs donations and needs followers.
Yes.
How do you disrupt religion?
So I'm happy to report that I have disrupted quite a few. And one of the key factors was that the religious leaders always believed that it was about the the anointed individual at the front of the room who the constituents cared about. And through our market research, we realized that almost everyone involved in faith cared way more about their community. And that's what religion is migrating to. Branding the community, not the spokesperson, the deity, or the doctrine.
In Los Angeles, there's a church called Agape.
Yeah.
And everyone talks about the community.
Exactly. You don't actually even know who the lead Agape person is. No.
It's the community.
Right, exactly. And that community has creating reoccurring customers who pay their dues every year without having to be knocked on the door.
Okay, so religion makes sense, community.
Yeah.
Do you know about Randy's Donuts?
Oh, yeah. It's just down the street, right?
It's down the street.
Yeah.
And by the way, they are great glazed donuts.
They are.
But they became this staple with LA.
Yeah.
You got to take a picture at Randy's Donuts, right?
Right.
Even in Iron Man, he's in Randy's
It's
Donuts.
so true. It's so true.
They made donuts cool.
Yes.
No, they made Randy's cool.
Well, I think that what Randy's did is it gave you a destination, right? You had that parking lot and everyone's hanging out, that incredibly large donut that you can see from anywhere. But since you're talking about donuts, one of my favorite things, I'll use a fun example that I've been paying a lot of attention to lately. So everyone believed that Starbucks couldn't be disrupted. It was just doing too well. And what Starbucks figured out, how did they disrupt coffee? They figured out that you didn't care really about the taste. You cared about the place.
Right.
And so they're a real estate business, strategic real estate business. And so you have a competitor on the East Coast, Dunkin' Donuts, who was always selling coffee. And they quickly realized that their constituent was on the move. It was not about the real estate. It's about the person who's running off to the construction site and whatever their role was. And so what they figured out was that they could position themselves as America runs on Dunkin'. It's not about being inside the facility, it's about getting it and going. And in fact, they did little things like they're taking the name Donuts off their name.
It's gone.
It's going to be just Dunkin'. And I don't know if you know what their logo is.
No, what
Not
is
a
it?
donut.
It's coffee?
It's a cup of coffee.
But it's failed on the West Coast.
Well, it hasn't necessarily failed. It's migrating. And we forget that West Coast versus East Coast, it takes time to transition. And you'll notice that Dunkin' Donuts in the blue-collar market in California is killing it. It's working incredibly well, and those are the people who come back regularly, and that's why Dunkin' has targeted them.
Did we see this transitional change also when Kentucky Fried Chicken changed their name and started focusing on something else?
Well, so I think this is a really good discussion. Remember, disruption for the sake of disruption is a distraction. And what KFC tried to do was say, well, everyone's eating healthy now, so we're not going to be called Kentucky Fried Chicken anymore. They actually changed their name to Kitchen Fresh Chicken.
Oh, did they?
They did.
I didn't know that.
I know. You know why you don't know? It lasted like 9 months. And this was a global campaign. They went right back to KFC, and what did they do? They brought back Colonel Sanders.
Right.
Colonel Sanders is now the primary mark. They even recruited a new person who looks like Colonel Sanders, right? Because, well, what do you have at a competitor like Burger King? Well, you have a fake king. What do you have at Jack in the Box? You got a fake Jack in the Box. Oh, there was a guy named Colonel Sanders. He invented this recipe. Perfect to disrupt in a way that humans could relate.
So as you, again, look at all these brands, you're seeing it in some cases hindsight.
Yeah.
It's after they've done it.
Yeah.
So when you walk into a company, how hard is it for you to see what they need to do to fix, and then how is it for them to fix it?
Good. Any organizational change is time-consuming and expensive, so I don't care what the fix is, okay? But my answer to your question is, even if I know the answer walking in, I absolutely do not reveal it. Even if they're willing to write me the check right then, I absolutely do not reveal it, and let me tell you why. In order to absorb disruption to become a regular part of your work practice, it has to be a migration. And I don't care if that migration is modular in 5 modules or a multi-year migration. So when we walk into these organizations that want our innovation council, we actually start with something that they can do tomorrow. Tomorrow.
But baby steps.
So we do, this is what I teach in my graduate school courses. Small, medium, and large goals motivate. Large goals alone, way too far out. Small goals I could do tomorrow, I can actualize. Medium goals help me carry that actualization towards the large goal. And so that's how I walk into these organizations who look and act like they couldn't be disrupted through a gentle assertion for today and a long-term goal for tomorrow and milestones accessible for mid-tier. They not only take it on, it becomes part of their fundamental business plan.
Last question. How do you disrupt yourself? You, Sasha.
Thank you. I intentionally called myself out. I try to make fun of myself when I put on this stupid blue sweater this morning. I was like, oh my God, that is pretty weak. Well, you know, it's me, I'm participating. I'm like, well, Ken's gonna make this badass video.
No,
it's gonna be online for a while. What kind of design might be timeless? And so by forcing myself to say, whatever you are innately going to do, that's gonna slow you down in your innovation progress. Every single time you have an intuition, like I walk into Subway and I know I'm gonna order the same thing. So I pause myself and I'm like, come on, you know, you gotta get out of your own headspace because other people don't act and eat like you do. And so by calling myself out in everything from the way that I eat to socialize, it ensures that I don't become latent.
Sounds like there's 2 people living in you.
Yeah. Well, hey, we all listen, you know, we always joked about the angel and the devil.
Yeah, you got
right? How's this? I've got my conservative, classic legacy, and I've got my disrupt the world every single day, and then that tension helps me ensure that I'm always moving forward.
Sasha Strauss, thanks a lot for hanging out with us.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Voice of Disruption, Sasha and Ken, you're hanging out. We're here to help you disrupt yourself. Thanks a lot for listening to Voice of Disruption.